This is Sports Charlotte, the podcast about sports in Charlotte. My name is Herb White. I'm editor-in-chief of the Charlotte Post. And as usual, riding along, ready to go, my
In
guy,
boxes.
well, yeah, is Cameron Williams, who is a staff reporter and all-around good guy. What's up?
Been a week. Been a fun week. Well, it seems like a long week. Been jam-packed with lots of stuff, lots of fun stuff too,
Yeah.
especially for my golfing self.
Yeah. It's Friday, February 28th, 2025. Last day of February, last day of Black History Month. And I know we had our prearranged topics to talk about, but since you brought up the fun that you're having this week, let's throw in what made it so much fun. You got out to Quail Hollow this week,
I
and
did.
what was that all about?
Well, so the PGA got an email about a week and a half ago saying, "Hey, why don't you come out to a media VIP experience at Quail Hollow? Because Quail Hollow down in South Charlotte is the site for this season or this year's PGA Championship." And so went out there, left the house early at 7:20, and didn't get to the course till about 8:45. Gotta love Charlotte traffic, but nonetheless, as a part of the event. We listened to Johnny Harris, the president of Quail Hollow Club, as well as Derek Sprague, the CEO of the PGA of America. They kind of gave their run-of-the-mill kind of rundown of what the tournament's going to look like, why this course is so important to the tournament, this, that, and the other. But then the media got to go and either go to their learning center or, which I chose to do, got to play holes 13 through 17 of the course. And when I tell you that course is, I mean, it's February, so the ground's still, kind of cold and everything. This course is spot. I mean, it's miraculous, truly. And any of those out there that are listening that likes golf, you truly just don't understand the difference in like, I guess, a run of the mill kind of average Joe course that we play on any given Saturday compared to what these pros play on. And so, I mean, I really got a chance to take that in and kind of appreciate it. And I did pretty well. So that was kind of neat.
So you had never played Quail before.
No, no. You to play there, not only do you have to be invited by a member or you have to be in some kind of special tournament or something like that to where, you're actually invited out there. But no, had never played it before. Clearly not a member. I don't have the $100,000 to front the initiation fee or $800 a month to put aside for membership dues. So it was really neat for me. Hopefully, down the road, maybe I can get invited out to a pro-am or something because I'd love to play it again.
Very good. So scholarship for a day, sometime at Quail Hollow. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah. All right. So it's also the ramp up time for the NFL. Combine week is this week in Indianapolis, and obviously we're not there, which is okay. But the Panthers made some news this week as well by announcing that they would not pursue an extension for linebacker Shaq Thompson, which will allow him to walk in free agency. He's free to sign with whatever team wishes to offer him a contract to his liking. And it closes an era of sorts with the Panthers. He was the last position player who wasn't a special teamer,
Yeah.
who played in Super Bowl 50. J.J. Jansen, the long snapper, is still around. But as far as like all four downs, putting your body on the line, that kind of thing, Shaq Thompson is it as far as that Super Bowl 50 team. Um, what are your initial thoughts on the Panthers letting him go? Is it a good idea, um, or is it just time?
Well, if you look at this from the aspect of the Panthers trying to kind of wash away the old, bring in the new. I think it was kind of time. If you look at Shaq's stats over just the last couple seasons, he's been out a lot, hasn't played nearly as much as he had in, say, 21, 20, even 2019. those were his best years. And so I think for a guy like him who plays that linebacker spot, who's in the constant mix, I mean, they just don't have as, a super long career. And I just think he's on the back half of it. And if the Panthers are looking to kind of, I don't want to say rebuild, but I mean, they're not great. If they're looking to rebuild and kind of get that, youth movement in the organization, it was time.
Yeah. And the other thing about all of this, and you're right, not only is he on the back nine, he might be on the back four, considering the injuries that he's had the last couple of years. And when you have leg injuries like he had,
Hmm.
talking about Achilles and a broken leg and all the other stuff that goes on with that in terms of the recovery, back-to-back seasons even, that takes an awful lot out of you. And linebackers, especially nowadays, because the NFL is a passing league, you've got to get out in coverage. And
Yeah.
has that slowed him down? And maybe the Panthers are even thinking, well, we haven't seen enough in the last couple of years to know if he's lost a step because he's been injured and missed
Yeah.
huge swaths of time during those two seasons. So it probably is time. And it's not like the Panthers are swimming in linebackers. That would be my other concern. They had a lot of people wind up on the injured list at various points last season. And so their linebacker group was just decimated. Uh, that front seven was a hot mess all year because of injuries. And so the
Hmm.
Panthers are going to have to go out and find some younger people. And they had young people in games last year, but they were busy getting hurt too. So do you have young talent that is available that you played last year who's ready to step in? I think Trevin Wallace, their one of their draft picks last year, is certainly an intriguing choice. He got in when those injuries hit midway to three-quarters of the season, and he did pretty well considering, as a rookie, it's going to take some learning to get accustomed to all of this. Then
Yeah.
he went out, and Claudin Cherilus, who had been a special teamer for most of his time in the NFL, it's only a couple of years or so. He went in, got hurt as soon as he got his first start as an NFL linebacker. So they've got issues and perhaps some answers, but these people need to stay healthy. And the decisions that have to be made now is how many of these younger people that played last year look like viable options going forward, or do you go out and draft somebody again this year to play that position? You've got 9 picks, I believe it is, in April.
Hmm.
So it's not like you don't have the capital to go out and get somebody. And of course, you can always do free agency as well.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking when you were, talking about his injuries and then all the young players. But why not waste? I don't even want to say waste. Why not utilize a draft pick on another linebacker, maybe even two, because you have so many of them. Now that you know you're not probably going to get Abdul Carter because he's soaring up the draft boards, even though he's not going to be even doing anything at the combine. Um, Now that you know you're not going to be able to get him, and that was kind of the guy they were circling in on. I think getting a linebacker would be very beneficial. But yeah, I mean, to your point, it is time for some of the younger guys to step up. But I think it's ironic and kind of funny. Charlotte sports, we're always talking about injuries. It doesn't matter if it's the Panthers or if it's the Hornets. I mean, we can't stop talking about injuries, and
On
we're
a
no
professional
doctors.
level, on the professional level, somebody's
Yeah,
always hurt around here. But again, we're talking about football, so it's a 100% ouchie sport. You're going to get
it
hurt.
is
So, but then the question becomes, how injured are you? There's a big difference between hurt and injured. And
huge.
yeah, and how many of those people are going to be invited back? And how many of them are going to have a real fighter's chance of getting in, and not only into the lineup, but even finding a roster spot. Because that offense, worst ever in NFL history in terms of points allowed. And
Mhm.
they had so many deficits to clean up there. Part of this may be if you can get some semblance of a front three, since it's a 3-4 defense, if you can get that front group in place, maybe it will help the linebackers. But it's all interrelated, and how the Panthers address that in the offseason is going to be really interesting, starting the draft and then free agency. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is at least this departure with Shaq was not very messy. I know just thinking back over the years whenever Steve Smith left, it just seemed kind of like they didn't he didn't leave on good terms. Same way with Cam Newton. It seemed like he didn't leave on good terms and, and we just talked a few weeks ago, he called everybody in the locker room losers and all that stuff. So at least this time, Shaq, posted a long message on his Instagram, and he was expressing gratitude and just thank you to the organization for being, good to him, good to his family. So I think he's putting a bow on this and just kind of saying it might have been my time. He doesn't plan on retiring, so what team's going to get him and what team's going to be able to utilize him, or if he sustains another injury, will he finally, hang him up? Time will tell, but at least with this one, they ended on a good note.
Yeah, and the other side of that is now he may not have the intention of retiring, but everybody gets retired one way or the other. It's the lucky few who get to walk away on their own. Usually somebody has to
True. Yeah.
wants to see you, that kind of thing. Or in his case, it may not even be where some team will even offer a contract because he's at that age,
Yeah.
when with that injury history. Some team may decide to take a flyer, and it would probably, at least hopefully for his sake, it's a team that can be a contender for the playoffs. You don't want to go back to a rebuild. You're just leaving one. So why mess around and do that all over again?
That's true. That's true. Well, let's stick with football, but
Okay.
let's change it. Let's change the two O's to a U and put a little thing over the O, shall we? Change the
We
spelling.
don't even know what that punctuation looks like, but yeah, that.
You know what I mean. Let's football, shall we?
hmm Charlotte FC opens the 2025 Major League Soccer season uh, Saturday
At
against
home.
at home. Yeah, yeah, the home schedule against Atlanta United, and uh, these teams have obviously geography working in their favor. Uh, they know each other pretty well, and Charlotte, I think, has a lot to prove this year. Was 2024 making the playoffs for the first time in club history? Was that a fluke? Coach Dean Smith is not on board with that one. His admonition to his team is we can do better than that.
Oh
And
yeah.
they're bringing in all this firepower with uh, Wilfred Zaha,
Zaha. Zaha.
yeah, to bolster the attack. You've got an emerging star in Patrick Agyemang. You've got the top goalkeeper from 2024 in MLS, Christian Kalina, uh, coming back. So there's a lot going on there with Charlotte FC. But I'm not so sure, just like with the Panthers and Falcons in the NFL, I'm not so sure about whether this is actually a rivalry or not. Um, I don't know. I just think that proximity doesn't make you rivals. You've got to have
No.
some healthy dislike, let's put it that way, in order to have a rivalry. And I just haven't seen that yet in 3 years of Charlotte and Atlanta.
Well, you have to be around long enough. I mean, we're talking about a Charlotte FC club that's still pretty young in their
Mhm.
existence. But I do want to pivot one moment. And can we talk about the way Charlotte tied Seattle in
Oh
in the
yeah.
MLS opener. The
Talk
on
about luck.
goal. I was thinking to myself, Charlotte had good luck at sports for once, and so nonetheless, sitting with a point coming into this game, Atlanta won their opener, so it'll be a good game. I'm sure the Bank of America will be rocking, and the crowd will definitely show out. But I'm interested to see now that Zaha is going to be inserted into the lineup, what this team's going to look like, what the chemistry is looking like. Because I mean, let's face it, the guy hadn't been here that long. Soccer is a big time sport when it comes to chemistry and just understanding timing and understanding tendencies of your teammates. So it'll be really interesting. I'll be sure to tune in on the MLS season pass for us Apple users. But I know you consider me the soccer snob of the office, as I'm sitting here keeping up with Bayern Munich and Aston Villa and all these other teams as well. But
My point.
nonetheless,
One sentence at a time.
listen. I'm gonna skim over that like we didn't even we're not talking about that.
Okay.
Nonetheless, I'm excited. I'm excited. It's MLS season. It's what we have here in America, so I'm gonna be excited about it.
Yeah. And in all fairness, Major League Soccer may not necessarily be on the level of the top European leagues, but that's okay. We don't live in Europe. It's the it's an American game. It's the best we've got in North America. Enjoy it. And I think that for Charlotte FC, anything less than fourth place in the Eastern Conference would be a disappointment. And I'm not so convinced that Inter Miami is going to be the best team in the East again. And if they're not, then I believe the East is in play in terms of the top of the table. So it could be uh, NYCFC, could be Red Bulls, could be Charlotte, could be Columbus. There's room for a new supporters shield club out there, but we'll
It
see.
definitely is.
Yeah, it all
Yeah.
starts on Saturday, and no doubt it's going to be a good time because Carolina soccer fans are not necessarily, you know, they're not hooligans by any stretch of the imagination, but they are quite feisty. So that's what I'll go there and really check out, and just to feel the energy because it is a very palpable kind of
Very.
feel when you get there, and it's like, yeah, they're really feeling themselves today. And when the home team,
Or they're filling those adult beverages.
there is that, there is that, and adult beverages make us all bolder than we probably wish we should be.
Very true.
Okay, so going back to American rules football, it's the off season, but there's still stuff to do.
Oh
So
yeah.
the Charlotte 49ers made an announcement this week as far as their schedule, and tell us about what's going on with that. It's not like we didn't know exactly who they were playing, but there's always something new.
Yeah, and I mean we knew the opponents, but now that they've got dates set up and home aways, like well we knew home aways, but now they got all the dates set up. So I'll just run through it real quick. August 29th, App State at Bank of America. That's gonna be a hot ticket. A lot of fans are gonna be able to enjoy that game. It's a in a roundabout way, a weird kind of rivalry. Like App State and Charlotte, you would think, that's not a rivalry. They don't like each other. The fan bases don't like each other. Um, so that'll be fun. September 6th, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you probably be there as well. But the Bill Belichick comes to Jerry Richardson Stadium. Two new coaches at their new respective
Some with a
schools.
bigger reputation than the other, might I add.
Uh, Don't do that. Don't do that. Well,
Oh,
yes, of course.
okay.
We're the Charlotte Post here. We're not the Chapel Hill Post.
I'm just
Uh,
saying you can't ignore it.
Very true. Very true. September 13th, Monmouth. September 18th, Rice. That's a Thursday game. Open week on the 27th, October the 3rd at South Florida. That's also Friday, October the 11th at Army. That could be a tough game. October 18th, Temple. October 24th, North Texas. Another game on a Friday. Second open week on November the 1st, November the 8th at ECU. I might travel to Greenville for that one. November the 15th, UTSA at home, and then at Georgia on my birthday. Ooh, I don't know if I want to travel to Athens, but nonetheless, November 29th
Good to
at
know.
Tulane to round out the year. So really, really good, fairly tough schedule for first year coach Tim Albin. So they got their work cut out for him. He's been assembling what he hopes is a competitive roster that can compete with all these teams on the schedule. Spring ball's right around the corner. I think one of the first practices is second or third week of March. So I'll be out there giving you the rundown. So it'll be fun. Football never ends. It never ends.
Never ends. Out of all the games on that schedule, I guess I'll leave the question this way. What game is the most or will be the most anticipated, and which one are you circling in terms of this ought to be really good? So to me, there's a difference. The
Mhm.
Georgia game, maybe you are anticipating it, but is it really intriguing as opposed to a North Carolina or the App State game or the East Carolina game? You know what I
Yeah, yeah, I see the difference. And yeah, while Georgia is intriguing because it's like right in the middle of your conference slate and everything. This was a buy game. I mean, Charlotte's making a lot of money. I can't remember the exact figure I was told, but I think it's like 2.3 something million dollars. So they're making money to go
mean?
to Athens too.
Yeah, you can buy a lot of uh, tape for the training staff with two
There
million.
you go. Yeah. So while you could anticipate, playing probably going to be a top 10 team, maybe even number one team by then, who knows? Uh, I'm not circling that one. I'm circling App State. To open the season, it's a good measuring stick. Where are you at? Um, how has your spring ball and then your, fall practice translated to the field against what many consider within the fan base to be a rival at Bank of America Stadium? So it'll be interesting to see that game. But then everybody's circling North Carolina. Um, those tickets are going to go faster than probably I dare say any tickets that have ever been sold at that stadium. Because they have no plans of moving it. It's going to be at Jerry Richardson Stadium. They're gonna make Bill Belichick come to Jerry Richardson Stadium. They want that home field advantage, if you believe in that kind of thing. So those are the two I'm circling right off the bat. Um, then Army. That's probably the third. I'll leave it at three because Army was a really formidable team last year. Can they continue um, their level of play from a season ago? And will Charlotte be able to compete with that? I know last year's team probably wouldn't, but yeah, that North Carolina game is probably my number one because I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to win the quarterback battle for Charlotte for one. Because if it's Connor Harrell, obviously North Carolina is his former team. Long way to go till August the 29th, but I'm looking forward to a few weeks from now when spring ball kicks off.
You know, to me, I'm surprised you didn't mention East Carolina in those games worth circling or anticipating. Is
Maybe
that
this is my Charlotte. This is me being an alum, but they have yet to beat Charlotte. I won't say us. I'll be a reporter. But they have yet to beat Charlotte in football, so it ain't a rivalry till you win a couple. I'll leave it at that.
well? But on the other hand, how many times have these two schools played football?
Uh,
It's a
just
small
once or
sample.
twice.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a small sample size, but because they're also same conference, same
Mhm.
state, but you're hanging on App State at Bank of America Stadium. Now, not to say that it won't be a really good game, uh, but I would imagine that East Carolina, which made it to a bowl last year, and after they fired the coach, went on a roll. So I'm
That's
thinking
true.
East Carolina is going to be loaded for bear when they get together. And
Especially
because,
considering they got thumped
yeah,
by Charlotte last year.
and that's the other thing, because after getting dragged up and down the field and crossing the street and doing it again, you would think that they would be ready to really throw down with this new regime in place in terms of the coach and just to show the City Slickers in Charlotte what time it is now. But I think the App State game will be really good. It's obviously going to be at a top-notch venue. I'd be interested to find out if they can get a sellout, considering. Of course,
Oh,
it's
who, Charlotte?
season. Huh?
Who, Charlotte? Yeah, I think North Carolina's going to be a sellout.
Oh no, I know North Carolina is going to be a sellout
Oh,
because if they because of the site isn't big enough
you're
to.
talking about East Carolina.
Oh no, I'm talking about the App State game. Can they sell
Oh,
Bank of America Stadium?
nah, that would, phew, that's a lot of fan. I mean, I don't even think the ACC championship sold out, and that was Clemson and SMU, and nah, I don't think a season opening game against App State's going to be a sellout. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Just
but I'm
because, I mean,
looking
you
at
talk
it
about
from
atmosphere.
yeah, but I'm looking at it from the standpoint of it's the season opener for both schools. You've got hope. Now, we're not talking about 8, 9 games into a season where, for some folks, hope has been dead and buried for 6 weeks. We're talking about an opener. East, and no offense to East Carolina, but App State, like you said, is kind of like that. That rivalry has more roots in the ground, I think, with App State and Charlotte. But for an opener, uh, familiar opponent, that should be pretty good. Plus, folks are curious. They want to see what Alvin comes up with. Plus, the next week you got Belichick. So it's like, okay, I might not be able to make that Carolina game. App State, I can do that one.
Yeah.
So,
We'll see. I
yeah,
mean, I'm like I said, I'm excited for it, but let's see what the spring has to offer first, because obviously, me as in my role as a reporter, I'm always, at the practices and the media days and things of that nature. So there's a lot that goes down before August the 29th.
absolutely. And the 49ers aren't the only program that's kicking off spring ball in March. Johnson C. Smith gets underway on March 4. And I can only imagine what kind of speechifying Coach Maurice Flowers has for his group. You're coming off an 8-win season, tied for the school record, but I don't know. Maybe the cynical side of me is coming out, but I would imagine if it were me, I would be telling him, you know what? You won 8 games and haven't done a thing. Because when the lights got really bright, collectively, we laid a pair of eggs. And that would be the motivation I would use to try to fuel that season. And it's not a matter of, oh, you guys suck. No, it's not like that. It's like we had an opportunity to do something in a season that was full of firsts. We didn't convert the ultimate first. We didn't make it to the NCAA. We didn't even make it to the CIAA title game. All we had to do was split the last 2 games of the season. And
Well,
effectively,
let's
we
don't get me started because not making the CIAA title game was a load of crap. But they should have been in the CIAA title game, but because certain games didn't count, because I'm not going to get into all that. But they cost me a P.
yes, it did. So you went from 4P to 3.
Did I
Prognostic.
ever earn that back?
Well, it's another season. You may have an opportunity there. Who's to
All right, well,
say?
I'm gonna use my third P right now to prognosticate and, well, yeah, and predict. they're going to at least match their win total from a season ago.
Woo. That,
Less bold than going undefeated because I know where that got me last year.
yeah, you
Uh,
lost the feed.
I know. I'm getting it back though.
So you're saying at least 8. And
Hell,
I would think that going into the preseason, Smith should be a favorite to make it to the CIAA title game. Uh, Virginia Union had major losses in terms of players graduating or transferring. Same thing with Virginia State. Smith is the only one that looks like, at least on paper, that it kept enough of that core group together to make a run. Of course, that doesn't mean that they won't be challenges because, in addition to Virginia State and Virginia Union, I think Fayetteville State will come back. Um, I think what's the Salem State still has something to prove, even though Smith pretty much did whatever they wanted to with them in Winston-Salem, which some Rams fans still can't believe that Smith could beat them twice in as many years. Uh, and I would even say Livingstone could be a dark horse, but that former CIAA South is going to be really competitive next year. And at least 4 schools are going to be capable of making it to the title game. Not so sure about Shaw uh, because they've got a new coach in place, but those other 4 schools, I think they're going to be right there in that mix. But you got to start somewhere, and so the first place to start is spring ball. So
Tuesday. Yeah.
yeah, uh,
No, I can tell you, I'm really looking forward to this year. Maybe going out to even a few more. I went out to more Jonathan C. Smith games last year than I anticipated, but I mean, it's fun watching good football. And when it's slim pickings sometimes in the Queen City, you go to games that are good and you watch good teams. And it's going to be real interesting to me this year seeing how the team looks on offense without Quavarius Crouch playing running back. I don't like it. Um, I'm no coach, and I know Maurice Flowers knows what's best, and he knows what's going to be best for Crouch's future as far as possibly making it into the NFL. But that dude was an animal, and I mean that in a good way. He was a catalyst a lot of times when things were kind of moving slow. Hand the ball off to him. I mean, just look at what he did in the Tuskegee game to open the season. I mean, boom, hand the ball off, first play right down the field, and I don't know if Kamara Edmonds is back, correct?
mhm.
I just don't know if
And
he is
Avante
a great
Hall,
running back,
yeah. So
but I don't know if he's got that big playability like Crouch does.
well, yeah, he did pretty well in Crouch's stead later on in the season when he was dealing with ankle injuries and things like that. But the good news, if you're Smith, it's not like Crouch left the program. He's just moving over to defense. He's playing line,
Yeah,
which apparently, according to Coach Flowers, that's what NFL folks want to see him do. So, what do you do? It's like, well, if you're looking out for the young man's future, you move him to
yeah,
line. And that's not to say that he can't play tailback in certain situations. So, we'll
yeah. If
see.
you get down to the goal line, give that boy the rock. And if you're getting 10 yards of play, 8, 9, 10 yards of play, and then you decide to throw the ball, Livingstone game. Don't do that.
I think that
Just
might be one of the main things that Coach Flowers learned about himself because I asked him about that at the end of the season. It's like, I have to go back and see what I did wrong. And I'm like, well, you know what? That could have been like exhibit A. Don't
yeah,
do that, especially when the other team isn't stopping what you're doing. So why change up and
fair
try to
enough.
fool them and wind up fooling yourself? So, but
Fair enough. Fair enough.
but we've got a minute and a half to go.
So real quick, what are we looking forward to?
Yes, very quickly. What are you looking forward to?
Looking forward to not only spring football, but the ACC tournament's coming up. It's going to be here in Charlotte. I don't know if I said that last week is what I was looking forward to, but nonetheless. that's something to look forward to because not every year is it in Charlotte, so it'll be fun.
ACC is cool. I'm looking forward to something in Florida this weekend. IndyCar season gets underway with the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. It's on Fox the whole season, going forward for the very first time. They left NBC after a good run, and I'm looking forward to that. It's race season, finally. So
That's right. Well, while we've got you here, be
that's
sure to subscribe. Visit
mhm.
our website, thecharlottepost.com. Become a subscriber, or better yet, a donor too. We take anything we can get. So, from myself, Cameron Williams, and that's our editor in chief, Herb White. I'm shutting it down this week. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.